Welcome to Perspectivas, Global Talks on Higher Education, the podcast of the UNESCO's International Institute for Higher Education in Latin America and the Caribbean, IESALC, a global space for dialogue and promotion of higher education for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perspectivas, Global Talks on Higher Education. This is a podcast by the UNESCO International Institute for Higher Education, and I'm Dr. Victoria Galamuros. I'm the Chief of Research and Analysis at the Institute. And today, I'm going to be the moderator for this episode. This is part of our podcast series called Breaking Barriers, Inclusive Employability in Higher Education, which is produced with the support of Lumina Foundation. Throughout this series, we'll explore how higher education institutions worldwide are improving the employability of underrepresented student groups and creating pathways to meaningful employment. And today we'll discuss innovative ways universities are helping refugee students navigate their path to employment in their job markets. And with us are representatives from three leading universities driving these efforts. These are Jacky, Neri, Arias from Dominican University, United States. Welcome, Jacky.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us Jutta Tess from RWTH, Technical University of Aachen in Germany.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have with us Susan Dixon. She's from Sciences Po in Paris, France. Welcome.
Nice to be with you. Thank you.
And we are talking about this topic, which is it's incredibly important because refugee students already face numerous challenges in accessing and even more succeeding in higher education. So after completing their studies, again, they encounter additional obstacles, whether these are language, legal restriction, unfamiliar job markets, workplace cultures, limited access to mentors, networks. So targeted university support, it is essential to help them navigate these challenges and ensure a smoother transition into the workforce. These three universities have developed a strong targeted initiatives to address these challenges. So with that as a background, let's start. Let's start by hearing just a brief overview of your work. So we'll start with Jacky. If you can let us know about the non-employment-based opportunities of Dominican University.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for having us, hosting this important episode. So I'm Jacky Neri Arias, I use she, her pronouns. So at Dominican, I serve as the Executive Director for Student Experience and Inclusion. So I work a little bit with, sort of different aspects of the university that support students on their pathway to gaining employment. And our program is that we created about 4 years ago now in 2022 or actually 2021 is called Non-Employment Based Opportunities. So NEBO for short, NEBO. And that program really, the focus is centering student learning and remembering, going back to the mission of higher education, which is to educate students, to have them gain the skills, so that when they do enter the workplace, they have all of the knowledge, the tools, the advocacy skills to be able to share all of their talents, and also to change mindsets of universities and employers, that refugee students, immigrant students have a lot of skills, They're not coming to get handouts. They're coming with a lot of different strengths. So really the model focuses on mentoring as well as highlighting the skills that our students already have.
Great. Thanks very much, Neri. I have lots of questions for you. But before that, we're going to be asking Susan about the professional certificate for young refugees that they have at Sciences Po.
Yes, thank you for hosting this conversation and for inviting us from Sciences Po. My name is Dr. Susan Dixon. I use she, her, and elle pronouns. I'm the project manager of this professional certificate in the social sciences and humanities for young refugees at Sciences Po in Paris. This program officially started in 2018 when Sciences Po committed to integrating refugees into France through a 2-year degree program. The certificate has 3 main objectives. The first one is to improve students' French. The second objective is to give them to exposure, to introduce them to the humanities and social sciences. And the third is to help them integrate into French society, either into the workplace or into higher education. And this is a program that's open to anyone aged 18 to 28 who has refugee status in France, and a B1 level of French. So it's a low intermediate level of French. It does give students a degree, that's a 2-year post-secondary degree. And to date, the professional certificate has accompanied 136 students from 22 different countries in 7 cohorts. An impact study that we put out in the fall showed that 36% of certificate alumni are in full-time employment, 32% are enrolled in higher education, and 12% have created businesses or become freelancers. And I'd say that this success is impressive. And it's due to the broad support that we built at Sciences Po across the institution, including from the Direction of Strategy and Development, from Career Services, from a whole host of in-house volunteer mentors, and the strong connections with businesses, nonprofit organizations, and cultural institutions throughout France. So I'm looking forward to the conversation and to telling you more.
Looking forward to dive into the results and the details of your program, Susan. But before that, let's go to Jutta, because we would love to hear as well about the Feed for Success program at your university.
Yes, thank you, and hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be meeting with you today. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jutta. I'm representing the career services at RWTH Aachen University. I'm coordinating the Career Service International, which is a service we relaunched last year. It's a service to all of our international students because 30% of the student body at our university is of international background, and that's including a large group of refugee students who are facing some challenges while they're arriving at the university or in preparation of their studies at our university. And we got together with the international office and the language department at our university. And we started the Career Success in Germany certification program, which is actually part of a project Fit for Success at RWTH. That project is made up of 5 measures that contribute to the success of international students by better preparing them for the German job market and facilitating their transition to the German job market. And the first measure is a pre-arrival free German language course that equips first-year students with technical and conversational skills, as well as a cultural understanding and practical tools for living and studying in Germany. The students have to register through the language department, but then as part of this program, they can take German classes for free. Then the second measure is the peer success coaching, which is a support program that guides students from the welcome week of the first semester through the first couple of weeks and months at the university. And it's a student or national students or international students in the higher semesters who are helping the new students integrate socially and academically. The coaching program includes, like I mentioned, the welcome week. They have tutorials on study organization and everyday life. They offer information events during the semester and individual peer-to-peer counseling sessions, which is a troubleshooting with a buddy or just some fellow students. The third measurement would be an international student success advisor who offers personalized case management for students who are struggling. It could be with academics or unique challenges related to their background or experiences. That's especially important for our refugee students. Then we offer the Career Services International, which is a service to specifically advise all international students in their career prospects in Germany. And we're trying to help them lower the hurdles to successfully transition into the labor market. And we provide career planning advice, but also networking opportunities. And we offer individual counseling sessions in German, English, and Chinese per request. And then we have some engaging seminars, hands-on workshops, and events where we bring the industry together with the international students. And then last but not least, we have the Career Success in Germany certificate, which is a modular free program that provides essential skills for academic and professional success that is designed to be completed within 3 semesters and particularly targets master students and especially refugee students.
Excellent, Jutta, thanks very much. And I am going to stay with you to start the first rounds of questions, because in each of your presentations, you've been sort of mentioning implicitly here there are different barriers that these students face, which are unfortunately multiple. But if you have to select which ones are the greatest, which one are the core of challenges that these students are facing when they arrive to your institutions?
Thank you. Well, we would say that the largest barrier would be the language difficulties, or just the level of language skills that our students have when they arrive at the university. And it's really, really difficult to be pursuing a full-time study program and learning a new language, maybe especially German at the same time. So that's one of the greatest barriers. And then second would be employers' hesitation they're not sure about the integration into the workplace of those students, as well as visa complexities that might just be challenging, or they seem to be a challenge. And it's getting easier, like the laws have changed a little bit, but it's still a big issue, as well as cultural differences, unfortunately, and also the limited awareness of benefits that our diverse talents can bring to the company or to the team that they would be working with.
Wow, those are many, and tackling them all at the same time, it's not easy. And so you do have a very challenging scenario once you start with. Jacky, I would like to ask you, she was speaking about legal restrictions, so I'd like to know a bit about that. And apart from that, are there any other systemic barriers that within higher education and also the employment systems that create additional barrier for refugees in your context?
Absolutely. And I think, it's really interesting to hear from Jutta about what some of the challenges are abroad, right, or abroad from the US, because they're actually very similar here in the United States, right? Many of our students also face immigration status issues, right? So again, those are systemic barriers in which some may have status, some may not have status, or they may fall in and out of status, right, based on the administration's decisions, executive actions, right? We have in the United States a program called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So that is a program in which children that came to the U.S. or were brought by their parents when they were young, right, underage, and stayed in the country, whether they overstayed their visas or they just live here, right, and do not have a particular refugee or temporary protected status. These students, right, have the right to, actually, they have work permits, right? They can work legally, but those statuses are going in and out, right? They have to pay a lot of money. So financial barriers, of course, exist. And these are young people, right? So they don't have a lot of years of experience. They're not being hired by, companies that are paying them tons of money. So that, of course, those become big challenges. But in addition to that, there's also barriers that exist within the university system. So I have found that sometimes there are sort of overly bureaucratic systems. So, just different moment in which it's not necessary to have such intense procedures, such lengthy application processes, right, or have so many requirements for our student, but they exist, right, because it's sort of the history, or that's just the tradition of that particular program or that university. So one of the things that we have tried to do at Dominican is to simplify application processes all across the board, whether it is for the NEBO program or other programs, right, or other services that we offer. And then, of course, right, there's racial bias, there's language bias, right, there's cultural differences, class differences, right. So some of those are sort of systemic barriers, oppressive systems that have existed for centuries.
Thank you, Jacky, for offering this perspective as well. And if we go to the personal level, all this is extremely hard in the well-being and the mental health of these prospective students or students. Susan, how do you experience that these refugee students may be coming from conflict-affected regions? How has that impacted their mental health and their well-being, and in turn, their career paths when they arrive to Paris?
Right. So what I'm hearing from my colleagues in Germany and the United States, the students that we have are facing similar challenges. But the mental health piece is, of course, very important. A 2021 study that was published in 2022 showed that 89% of adults seeking asylum in France suffered from mental disorders. And so that's a very high number. And we know that mental health issues impact refugee students for many reasons. There's the loss of cultural comfort, the adaptation, homesickness. There's often a loss of social status. As we've had students who were doctors in their home country, and then they had to start over here, essentially. And so that's a heavy burden to bear. And of course, these mental health issues can impact the ability of students to succeed in the classroom or finding work. And so to support these students, the professional certificate has created links with medical professionals in France who specialize in treating refugees, number one. Number two, these students, the students in the program have priority access to the free healthcare center at Sciences Po, as well as at teaching universities. And we're fortunate in Paris to have, a wealth of resources. In addition, we've also paid for psychological counseling in students' first language, because again, the language barrier exists. And when you're dealing with very intense mental health situations, having someone to talk to in your own language is really helpful.
Wow, Susan, thank you. And it's excellent that you already start talking about how to overcome the challenges, because we've put on the table a very wide range of challenges. But despite of this, you actually have put in place very successful programs to overcome these challenges. So let's start talking about that. I'll go to Judah, and you've mentioned that language barriers are often a major hurdle for refugees, students, for both higher ed and then employment. So what strategies have you put in place that have been the most effective to help them overcome these? You were speaking before about language courses. Could you please elaborate on that a bit?
Well, with our colleagues at the language school, we were able to come up with a variety of German courses, because we understand that the students often need more than the basic language skills such as grammar and vocabulary. They also need to be able to use this language in the day-to-day context, or just when they're talking to their professors or when they're talking to other students. Sometimes they want to go and seek medical advice, or they want to go to a grocery store or one of the different offices they have to go to get the paperwork in place or sorted through. So that's a different kind of German or a different kind of language that they will need. So we came up with a language course, which is just for refugee students, to give them more than just the general basic German, but to get into the everyday words and languages and vocabulary that they need. And then we also established a Be Buddy program, which is a program that was designed by the International Office, which is that either national students or international students who are in a higher semester, they team up with a mentee from the first semester, or the international students who are just coming into the university. So they have somebody to talk to, and then we're trying to match them with, they're either native speakers or they are German speakers who are very fluent in English, and help them connect. And they can go to a low key, it's a peer-to-peer German practice session, I guess, where they're not professional language teachers, but it's students talking to the international students or the refugee students in German. And then at the same time, we have a lot of active student clubs and associations who are offering like a Café Lingua, where you can go and just speak your native language for one evening, or just meet other students from your home country. Or if you want to, you can practice a different foreign language. And then we're working on a language course to prepare for the job market, or just some more technical or more study subject related German vocabulary.
Thank you, Judah. That's a very comprehensive approach to tackle what I can say is not an easy language. So it's great that you are doing that, and you're supporting the students, because it is critical to integrate into not just university but afterwards in the labor market. Another of the topics that you've mentioned before, it's mentoring. So it seems that the mentoring as well plays, or can play, an important role in here. I would like to hear from you, Jacky. How could universities connect refugee students with mentors who actually not just any mentor, but those that understand their backgrounds and their unique challenges?
Absolutely. I think, mentoring for students from any historically marginalized background, particularly immigrants, refugees, right, is incredibly important, because it's not going to be enough to simply present students with the tools or the knowledge that they need to be successful in the workplace, right? They actually need to hear it from someone who understands their lived experience, who perhaps shares an identity with them, right, and understands what the, sort of the mental challenges, the financial challenges, right? All of the different experiences that refugee students face. So one of the things that we do here at Dominican is sort of foster a culture of mentoring, right? Where it is now faculty are actually receive sort of props, right? They receive points when they're up for tenure, when they're up for promotion, if they do service, right? And service includes things like mentoring, right? So it is actually they can track it, they can measure it, right? And they can receive some type of compensation eventually for it, right? And then in addition to that, we also support our students, right? And this goes kind of in line with what I was saying earlier about changing the rhetoric, or changing the mindset around immigrant students as having nothing, right? Or coming to the US with nothing. They actually come with quite a bit, right? Immigrant students, refugee students are adaptable, they're resilient, they're creative, they're innovative, right? They have they can learn very quickly, right? So changing that mindset that you came with nothing, it's you came with everything you already needed, and now here are some tools, right? Here are some things that you could utilize to be more marketable, right? So kind of connecting the mentor, as well as helping students shift their mindset about themselves.
How important is that point, Jacky? And I love your narrative of just changing it as like, no, you come with nothing. You actually come with lots of things and all the skills and potentially knowledge as well. But the type of transversal skills that you've been mentioning about these students, they are definitely going to help them to thrive in a new environment. And they are very difficult to teach. They learn them the hard way, unfortunately. But once they have them, they are extremely valuable. And Susan, I'd like to explore a different aspect with you, because we've been talking about integrating into the workforce, which it's as the final aim, but you also integrate in a society at the same time. So how important is this cultural integration for refugee students, and in which way does it influence or help their transition into the workforce? What are you doing for this in Sciences Po?
Cultural integration is really central to integrating into French society and the workplace. And so it is also central to the professional certificate in the social sciences and humanities at Sciences Po. It's embedded into every single semester because the better students understand their host culture, the better they will transition to employment when that day comes. So at Sciences Po in this program, not only do we take students on cultural outings to the French theater and to the wonderful museums that we have in Paris, but we also emphasize learning the cultural codes that can impact student success in higher education and in the workforce. Those things that you learn by being here and that are not always obvious when you're an outsider. And so students learn these codes from the very beginning. They have weekly meetings with their whole cohort, weekly meetings with the director, Isabelle Delorme, and they take a variety of courses in different social sciences and humanities and math also. They visit businesses as a group, and they have in their third semester 12 different career services workshops that set them up for their fourth semester 6-month internship. And throughout all of these semesters, students are told specifically how to do things, how do things work in France, because it's not obvious.
Oh, it really sounds like you are being very, very proactive of also taking care of how culturally they integrate in the French society. It sounds like fun. So I can imagine these students are not only learning, but also are having a great experience by doing your program. Jacky, I would like to go back to you because you were speaking before and I just kept on thinking about the importance of changing mindsets. And I guess that's because there are initially a lot of misconceptions about these students. Okay, probably for everyone, but let's now focusing on the workforce, let's explore which can be the misconceptions that employers can have about hiring refugee students, and how can you from the university can help change this?
Absolutely. So, everything that we were sharing earlier still applies for the workforce, right? Workplace environment, company priorities, right, et cetera, will be influenced by these misconceptions, right? So assuming that refugee students or immigrant students will need sponsorship forever, right? Like some type of legal sponsorship, when perhaps, right, employers can actually sponsor, at least in the US, right? They can sponsor students for a 6-month project, right? Or a 1-year contract. And that can put students on a path to actually gain legal status, right? That is no longer connected specifically to the job, to the place of employment. And then also, right, some, again, cultural bias, right? Assuming that the student or that the graduate doesn't know enough about the culture or enough about the company, right? Or just, unfortunately, just making a lot of believing a lot of misconceptions about based on the student's accent, right? Where they're coming from, which country they're coming from. There's a lot of racial bias there too, right? So because of that, right, some of the things that we have done here at Dominican is to create career fairs that are specific to those students, right? So specific to immigrant and refugee students, so that first of all, the first thing that happens is the employers already know the students that they're going to meet, right? They're not going to show up and meet an immigrant student for the first time, right? They know that they're coming specifically for this population. We've prepared them in advance. And then the other thing that we do is prepare the student with a series of workshops. So I'm forgetting which one, whether it was Judah or Susan, or maybe both of you shared sort of a series of workshops that you do to prepare your students. We do something similar in which we teach our students how to tell their story, right? And not just from a deficit perspective, but from an asset based, right? How is it a strength that you come from a different country, right? Do you come from a different culture? So that when they present to the employers are, again, hearing it as a positive rather than yet another barrier for the student.
Oh, that's really important and interesting, and probably a source of inspiration for those universities that are not doing it. How do you tell your story? It seems now, reflecting on what you're saying, that in order to be really successful in what you're doing, it cannot be just a university. You need the employers in the other side to be on board, whether this is to get to know the students, for the misconceptions, to attend these events, or to give tips to a student from a practical perspective. It seems that we're talking really about a partnership. It's not just one-off or just an activity. Jutta, could you let us know how can universities build stronger partnerships with employers that are open to recruiting refugee students?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and thank you, Jacky, for the insights. That's really, yeah, it's just great to see and to hear that we might be on the right path, I guess, because that's something that we have been experiencing as well, that it needs a lot of communication from our side, from the university, and preparing the companies as well as the students for like a first get together, first environment where they can meet without any hesitations. So we have been offering career days just for internationals, for example, or we have taken a group of international students to a job fair. It was like this big job fairs were going on for 3 days, and we contacted all the exhibitors individually, telling them about our students, about the study programs that they're in, about their maybe limitations, but also their assets, and also reminded the companies of maybe their challenges, or maybe that they even have some international employees already, and just focus on the success and the great assets that they have been to the companies. And then the companies responded back, yes, we would like to meet your students. So then we would go to the job fair with a small group, but the group was prepared. They knew everything about the company. They knew about how to conduct, how to present themselves during that setting. And it was a fun and very pleasant experience for everyone, the employers, for us as the university, and for the students. So then out of a meeting for the first time, we were able to set up some joint events where we're now doing online presentations of the companies, or we go on field trips and visit with the companies. But it does take a lot of personal effort and a lot of conversations and a lot of convincing sometimes. But we're now starting to see some fruits, because the employers, they remember and they celebrate more and more that they already have a diverse team, and now they see the possibility of hiring even more and giving back to the universities. And they call us and tell us about some alumni who would like to give a short presentation about their career success story, which is just a great development to be following.
Thank you, Jutta. That would be very inspiring to have someone that has been in your position a few years ago and now is being successful in the labor market. That's really important for them. But not everything is about employers. I go to you, Susan, because you were mentioning that some of your graduates actually created their own company. So I would like to also explore a little bit, how is this preparation for entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial roles, freelance jobs, and these other career paths in which they can also be very successful in the labor market.
Right. I'm inspired by all of the groundwork, the legwork that Jacky and Jutta are describing in to move students from a deficit approach to an asset approach in terms of what they can bring to the table, and then building the pipeline for those businesses. At Sciences Po, in our program, we've also developed strong relationships with different businesses, and with nonprofit organizations, including one that has a specific program for budding entrepreneurs, as well as an incubator program. And so we have taken students to this organization so that they could learn about the financial assistance that exists specifically for refugees who want to start a business, and to meet entrepreneurs who have been in the incubator program with this organization. We've also invited a young student at Sciences Po who started a company to meet the students, because a lot of our students are interested in starting their own company, and to talk with someone who's also a young person is very inspiring to them. And so, yes, as I mentioned earlier, the impact study that we published in the fall revealed that 12% of former students from the professional certificate have started their own company or become freelancers. But this number actually matches what we know about entrepreneurship in France. In 2021, a study showed that immigrants represented only 7.7% of the French population, but 15% of business founders. So there is a lot of business creation among immigrants, and refugees are in that group creating businesses.
And how good it is to have the university also supporting those other career paths as well. Interesting data about refugees or immigrants generally being very, very entrepreneurial, or more than the average in the country. These are all aspects, very, very interesting aspects of your programs, in which you are supporting these student groups in many different ways, and we have seen. So now I would like to look to the future a little bit, and you've been speaking, Susan, about you have data from where your students go. So I would like to explore a little bit more, how can we better measure the success of the refugee students in the workforce? What type of feedback or data should be collected to continually improve the support systems that you have at your institutions?
Yes, I think we could all agree that data collection is necessary to understand the trajectory of our former students and the needs of current students, what lies ahead for them. But it's also necessary to communicate the value of these programs so that we can give that information to current and future funders. Because at Sciences Po, this is a privately funded program. And so this data is really essential to our funding and to making sure that we're doing the work that we say we're doing for the students. But beyond this impact survey, where we surveyed all of the former students and had over 80% return in our survey, we'll continue that work. But continuous improvement has always been part of this certificate program. So there's regular feedback from all stakeholders. The director, as I mentioned before, has weekly meetings with students, and that way she can make adjustments in real time. There's also the many partners of the certificate at Sciences Po, faculty, mentors, career services. We are in constant communication, and we're also constantly communicating with the internship supervisors and the businesses where our students go on to work. And I would say communication with the current students and with alumni is really key to making sure that there's feedback, that changes can be made in real time, and also so that there's a strategic vision for the future of the program.
It is really commendable, Susan, that continuous improvement, but also evidence-based decision-making and adjustments that you're making to your program based on the feedback that you receive from your students and and alumni. Jutta, looking ahead, how can things like the digital skills or the online learning opportunities, how can they improve the employability outcomes for refugee students? How do you see this affecting the current work that you do or giving you further opportunities?
We actually see this at the Career Center on a daily basis right now, because the students are asking more and more for more flexible access to our services. So we have ourselves decided to come up with a broadcast series, for example, or we want to implement this online library or media library where the students can access some of our courses at any time, because we also think that a flexible access to education or skill development will help the students to succeed even faster and to gain more knowledge and skills. And then if they're using those digital skills and they go to the employers and they show them, besides being a A+ student within, I don't know, mechanical engineering, I also have advanced my knowledge and skills in some digital tools or programs at the same time. And we think it's very essential for the future work force to have those digital skills. And if we can provide them with access while they're at our university and give them the opportunity to improve their skills or to have access, and it's even free access for now, that would be great asset, and why not use it and support the students that way.
Thank you, Jutta. There's a lot of opportunities opening up in there. And as you can say, it's not just a way in which students can learn, but it's something that they can show later. Like another skill, additional skills that they can show to employers. You've been doing these programs and for a while already, and working with these students. I think it would be very interesting to close up, just knowing from the three of you, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned from implementing these initiatives. We'll start with you, Jacky.
Absolutely. There's so many lessons, right, that you can learn from working with students who are highly adaptable and creative, right? And most of all, I think they're so hungry for opportunities, right? I think when you have so many doors in your life closed within your own country, within your own context, and then you go to a different country and doors are closed there too, right? When administrators, universities, right, open a door or create doors for these students, create a table, then there's just, students typically, in my experience, will exceed expectations of the projects that they're assigned, right? So I think that, again, right, being willing to create something that hasn't been done before, right? And also being willing to listen, right? What do you actually need as a student, right? Not just what do I believe you need, but what do you actually need? What do you want out of your educational journey? And then the last thing I wanted to say too is students, in my experience, are very interested in civic engagement, right? So aside from learning, and becoming employable, they also are interested in helping to change policies for the future for people that are going to come after them. So one of the things that we've done at Dominican is present them with opportunities to actually advocate for immigration reform and changing of policies, institutional as well as national, at professional conferences, at the White House, right? Congress people, right? So it's important that I think universities kind of think ahead of the skills that they might need in the workplace, but in general, right? What might they need in life to be able to be successful?
That's really insightful, Jacky, and a great opportunity that you present to the student, very much needed these days. Susan, what are the key things that you would like to highlight as a lesson learned from these experience?
One of the biggest things, I guess, from the early years of the program was learning how much support such a program entails for students, the tailored support that students need. And so my position was actually created to provide that support to students of the professional certificate in the humanities and social sciences for young refugees. So half of my time is spent helping current and former students find work or studies that they want to do, helping them to identify programs and internship opportunities and work opportunities, and to get those, to secure those opportunities. So starting in the fall, I'll be working with students going into their second year to get their fourth semester internship. And right now I'm following students who are in that internship to make sure that everything is going well. So I'm liaising with the students and as necessary with the businesses where they're interning and with career services. And I also advise alumni of the program who are looking for work or who want to continue their studies. Every week I have meetings with former students who are moving on to the next phase. And so I think it's the tailored approach that's really key, but also institution-wide investment and buy-in. At Sciences Po, the group workshops that I mentioned before with career services, the individual mentorships with employees, not faculty at all. Most of them are staff who don't always get to work with students. And so they're really excited to get to work with some very motivated students. The class visits from professionals and the group site visits to different businesses in France, all of these help the students to integrate into the workforce. So really the two keys that we found are that individual advising and institutional support need to be there.
Really important as well, and complementary to what Jacky was doing. Jutta, will end up with you some lessons that you've learned of this experience.
Yes, we learned, first of all, that there's a very high demand amongst our international students for such services, and the majority, they were very appreciative and actively involved in all the activities that we offered. And then we learned that connecting with the students has been, for us, also been very enriching, and fruitful insights were given to us through different situations, through their special needs. And even in our team, we've learned so much about ourselves, our team dynamics, and just what the faculty can offer. And we learned that it is very the advice that's been offered from different departments or different institutions at the university. And then networking is key. And just by talking to the students and talking to other advisors and then talking to the industry representatives, and just by staying within this communication, we can just tear down some barriers and make work a lot easier for us, but the transition a lot smoother. And then we can just widen everybody's horizon a little bit more, which I think is very important these days anyways. But then we also learned about the importance of partnerships with small local businesses, because many students work with Bosch, for example, or some just very big companies, global operating companies. And then we try to get them more focused on the smaller local businesses to help them establish a wider workforce and maybe grow together. And that's been very rewarding to just watch.
That's a very interesting point, Jutta. Thank you, about not just partnering with employers in general, but then specifically with SMEs within the country. I would have so many follow-up questions. I would love to continue speaking with you, but we've come to an end. We've come to an end of this insightful episode. The conversation doesn't stop here. There's so much more to explore, and that's why we've captured in much more detail than what we've spoken today, all your initiatives. We have detailed information in our publications for a deeper look into your 3 initiatives and also 12 more. So we have 15 in total. And so we'll make those resources available to our listeners. And I would like to thank the three of you. Thank you very much to our incredible panelists. Your perspectives today have shed so much light on the work being done from you to support refugee students and your commitment to students. And so Jacky, Jutta, and Susan, thank you very much for your time. And to our audience, we appreciate you listening in. We hope this discussion has provided some valuable takeaways. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of Breaking Barriers, Inclusive Employability in Higher Education, a podcast by UNESCO International Institute for Higher Education. Thank you and bye-bye.
We look forward to meeting you soon in this UNESCO's The ESALX space, and thank you for being part of our community.